Hey guys, welcome back. Today is Monday, April 20th. Let's start by taking a look at our quarter four, unit one pacing guide. This guide is really essential to keeping up with your work, with your daily assignments. So for today, your task is to begin your ruthless reading guide, slides number 1 through 5. Keep in mind that this assignment in its totality will be worth 100 informal points. So let's go ahead, open up your reading guide in Google Slides. It should look like this, and let's get started together. So you've completed all of your pre-reading assignments up until this point, which should have given you some good background information before we start reading our first text of quarter four, Ruthless by William DeMille. So as always, we have a reading focus, right? That's what we are looking for as we are reading. And in particular, what we are looking for is characterization. Before we start reading, ruthless, that's a word that we use to describe somebody. That goes along with characterization. So let's make sure that we know what it means to be ruthless before we continue on with our reading for today. So just to review this definition, to be ruthless is to be someone who is heartless or shows no mercy. So someone who is cruel. For example, the ruthless banker gave no money to the poor even when he could afford it. Okay, cool. So ruthless has a negative connotation. What else do we need before we start reading? Well, we need to use our characterization tools, right? The first one being STEAL. We use this acronym to help us observe the speech, thoughts, effect on others, actions, and looks of a character. And then we use those observations in order to make inferences about that character's traits. So these are the adjectives that we use to describe a character. Now, I know a lot of students sometimes struggle to brainstorm really good, juicy English 2 level character traits. That's why I've included the cheat sheet over here for you to access. So when you click on it, you'll see this little link pop up below. You will click on that link and then your character trait cheat sheet will just open up in a new tab for you to use. I recommend just keeping this open and ready to go as you're working through your reading guide. So let's go ahead and move on to slide 3. We are going to start by reading together. So up here in yellow, you'll see that that is your directions as to what to do. So read the section of the text below, cool. Then complete the green reading task number 1 in the notes section under this slide. So I'm going to follow the green arrow down here. Oh, this is my notes section. And a little hand will appear. You can toggle this up and down. So as you're reading, I'd probably keep your screen like this, and then when it's time to work, move it up so that you can have access to it. So your first reading task is to record a quote below that represents Judson's looks. So that's what I'm looking for today. Awesome. Then I'm going to record a quote that shows his effect on others or his thoughts. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is use the character trait list to find a word that best describes Judson, our main character, based on what we have gathered from these first 2 paragraphs. So pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and begin reading together, starting with paragraph 1. Outside, the woods lay basking in clear October sunlight. Trees a riot of color, air full of autumn's tang, and the sharp, exciting smell of moist, leaf-covered earth. Inside, a man smiled grimly as he turned from the bathroom cabinet, entered the expensively primitive living room of his mountain camp, and crossed to a closet set in the pine wall. It was his special closet, with a spring lock, and in it he kept guns, ammunition, fishing rods, tackle, and liquor. Not even his wife was allowed to have a key, for Judson Webb loved his personal possessions and felt a sense of deep outrage if they were touched by any hand but his own. The closet door stood open. He'd been packing his things away for the winter, and in a few minutes would be driving back to civilization. So at this point, you might want to pause your video so that you have time to complete the work below. You're going to start by recording a quote that represents his looks. So review that second paragraph. Choose a quote that represents his effect on other people. The only other people he mentions here is his wife, so that's a clue. Or his thoughts. Now, what's he thinking about? Well, he's standing in front of this closet of his. He's thinking about his personal possessions, so that should be a hint as well. And then you're going to give me a character trait. So pause your video, work on that. When you're done, meet me back here. We will continue on to slide 4 together. Awesome, so my directions are up here. I'm going to read the section below, then complete the green reading task number 2 in the notes section. Oh, okay, so that's not too different from what I just did for the slide before this one. Awesome. So here, let's see, just a little preview. All right, looks, effect on others, a trait. Oh, and then I have to ask this I have to answer this question. So based on Marcia, Judson's wife's actions, what can you infer they're about to do? Awesome. Let's continue reading. As he looked at the shelf on which the liquor stood, his smile was not attractive. All the bottles were unopened except one quart of bourbon which was placed invitingly in front, a whiskey glass by its side. The bottle was less than half full. As he took it from the shelf, his wife spoke from the adjoining bedroom. "I'm all packed, Judson," she said. "Hasn't Alec come to turn the water off and get the keys?" Alec lived about a mile down the road and acted as a caretaker for the city folks when they were away. "He's down at the lake taking the boats out of water. Said he'd be back in half an hour." Marcia came into the room carrying her suitcase, but she paused in surprise as she saw the bottle in her husband's hand. "Judson," she exclaimed, "you're not taking a drink at 10 o'clock in the morning." So again, you're going to use this little hand, toggle it up to access the notes section. How does Judson look? Give me a quote. How does he affect other people, specifically his wife? Give me a quote. Give me a character trait for him. And then what can you infer they're about to do based on what his wife is doing? Go ahead, pause the video, use this time to work. When you're done, come back, meet me at slide number 5, your last slide for today. All right, same situation. We've got to read the text, complete the task underneath. Awesome, let's take a little preview. Actions, effect, speech, trait, and then we've got to make a prediction about what he's planning to do. "You wrong me, my dear," he chuckled. "I'm not taking anything out of this bottle. I'm merely putting a little kick into it." His closed hand opened and he put upon the table 2 tiny white pellets as he started to uncork the whiskey. Her eyes narrowed as she watched him. She had learned to dread that tone of his voice. It was the tone he used when he was planning to, quote, "put something over" in a business deal. "Whoever broke into my closet last winter and stole my liquor will probably try it again once we are out of here," he went on, "only this time he'll wish he hadn't." She caught her breath at the cruel vindictiveness of his manner as one by one he dropped the tablets into the bottle and held it up and watched them dissolve. "What are they?" she asked. "Something to make him sick?" "And how?" He seemed fascinated as he saw the genial bourbon change into a lethal dose. "At least no one has found an antidote. Once it's down, it's curtains." He corked his bottled vengeance and set it back on the shelf alongside the little whiskey glass. So at this point, you should definitely be able to answer that last question. Go ahead, pause your video here. This is time for you to find your quotes representing Steele. So what does he do here? How does he affect others? What does he say that reveals something about him as a person? And then based on all of this, give me a good character trait. Remember to use your character trait list over here that you've got open in a separate tab. If you didn't already open it, go back to slide number 2 so that you can. If you have any questions or confusion about the reading, you can hop on to office hours or shoot me or your teacher an email. So enjoy reading and good luck.